Chapter 51 Disembarked from Ship. The ship arrived at Lothmire City a day later, jolting Maximus from his engrossing read. The token in his pocket vibrated, reminding him of their arrival at the central continent. Although he still had a few days to spare on the ship, he decided to abandon his reading and disembark. Stepping outside, he was greeted by a crowd of thousands of people pouring out of the ship. Fortunately, he made his way to the VIP lane, ensuring a smooth exit. Just as he was making his way through, a familiar voice called out his name. "Maximus!" Griffin's voice echoed across the bustling crowd. Maximus turned his attention to Griffin, who approached him with a group of companions. "How are you?" "I didn't see you for the rest of the trip," Griffin complained. "Oh? It's none of your business," Maximus dismissed him, refusing to indulge in his drama. Griffin pouted like an aggrieved girl, causing Maximus to suppress a shiver. It was unsettling to see a young man with a rugged face and muscular physique act like a little girl. "Who is this, Griffin? Care to introduce us?" one of Griffin's friends inquired. "This is Maximus, the one I met on the ship," Griffin introduced. "Maximus, these are my cousins Lorna, Timothy, Bart, and Wesley," Griffin informed him. "Hello," Maximus greeted them with a nod, not wanting to appear impolite. They replied with a distant hello, maintaining a certain distance. "By the way, where are you headed?" Griffin asked. "I plan to explore the city for a while before proceeding in the origin domain." "And you?" Maximus inquired. "Well, we're heading straight to the origin domain as well. The enrollment starts in 6 months, so we need to find a place to settle down before then," Griffin explained. "Then I'll see you there," Maximus nodded and bid them farewell.
"See you,"
Griffin said with a smile. He had no urgency to reach the origin domain, as his primary goal was to earn money. Heading towards a hidden location, he retrieved a magic pendant that could detect prying eyes or surveillance arrays in the vicinity. The pendant vibrated, indicating the presence of a monitoring array in operation. He was dumbfounded, realizing that there was already a monitoring array outside Lothmire City. It seemed excessive, as monitoring arrays were typically used to track abnormal mana fluctuations and gather detailed information. Just like a CCTV camera in the modern day, but it detects mana. He also had this set up in Moonshadow City. Although the monitoring array wasn't overly expensive to set up, using it even outside the city seemed like a waste of resources. Using the Mask of Grimoire here will undoubtedly alarm the monitoring array. Gazing at the sea, he considered using the Mark of Grimoires to change his persona before entering the city. However, upon observing the chaotic winds, he dismissed the idea. While the chaotic wind was milder here and he could withstand it with his strength, he decided it was best not to tempt any unknown dangers lurking in the endless sea. Lacking a solution, he turned to the system mall, recognizing its near omnipotence as long as one had money. After several minutes of browsing, he found a solution. Array Deceiver, a Tier 5 magic item that conceals abnormality in mana fluctuations for a few seconds. Price, 18 million. This item appeared incredibly powerful, as deceiving an array wasn't simply about changing his mana signature using the Mask of Grimoire and hiding the fluctuation. It had other possible applications, such as gaining access to places with limited strength requirements, like inheritance sites or opportunities. For instance, if the strength limit of a particular inheritance was only Tier 1 official mage, he could enter as long as the restrictions in that place didn't exceed Tier 5. Buying the Array Deceiver diminished his funds from 30 million to 12 million, nearly bringing him back to his original budget of 10 million. Activating the Array Deceiver, he donned the Mask of Grimoire, altering his entire being, from his mana function and spiritual signature to his physical body. His tier was raised to Tier 5 Mystic Mage, and he appeared more aged, akin to an experienced alchemist, knowing that alchemical items were more expensive than others. Once he finished his transformation, he confidently walked through the city gate. Feeling the strength of a Tier 5 mage, Maximus was led into a special lane by the guard up front, bypassing the need to wait. Upon entering the special lane, he was greeted by a receptionist. He realized that entering the city was more cumbersome than he had anticipated. "Sir, do you have an identification token?" the guard asked. "No, I just came from the Cursed Continent," Maximus replied calmly, although inwardly he was puzzled as to why the guard asked about an identification token. The guard was taken aback, as it was rare for a Tier 5 Mystic Mage powerhouse coming from the Cursed Continent. Most of them would have migrated to the Central Continent when they were only Tier 3 Nascent Mages or Tier 4 Elemental Mages.
"Ah, I see."
In that case, we need to get you registered and issue a token, the guard explained and led him to another room. Although Curse Continent lacks mana, it's a continent after all, so it's not that surprising to produce Tier 5 mage, thought the guard. What is this token for? Can't I just register and enter? Maximus asked, perplexed by the process. Sir, the identification token is required for the entirety of the Arcane Continent. It will be recorded in the Continental Array. If you're not registered and rashly enter any other city apart from the harbor city in the Arcane Continent, you will be attacked by the Continental Array, the guard patiently clarified. This revelation shocked Maximus to the core and disrupted most of his plans. He couldn't help but swear in his heart, this was the Arcane Continent for you. To cover the entire continent with an array, what resources were needed for such a work? It wasn't just a shoddy array like the one in the Curse Continent that merely monitored if you conquered an island. This was a comprehensive defense and attack system and complete one-on-one monitoring. It couldn't be described as extravagant, it was a waste of resources. Moreover, Maximus was certain that it possessed even more astonishing functions that he was unaware of. Fortunately, it seemed that the monitoring array was weaker in the periphery, otherwise, the array deceiver wouldn't have worked. Here, sir, you need to register a strand of your mana and spiritual signatures. The guard led him to a room with a large crystal ball floating in the air. Maximus looked at the guard, puzzled. Usually, only the mana signature was required, as it was relatively harmless compared to the spiritual signature. Who knew that when he put his spiritual signature in the ball, he would be cursed or, worse, enslaved? Noticing Maximus's confusion, the guard explained, don't worry, sir. This is the crystal of origin. All primordial mages and cosmic knights have sworn to the laws of the world not to tamper with the stored spiritual signatures and to protect it from anyone. Swearing to the laws of the world carried immense gravity. Violating these laws would lead to severe consequences, and one could only hope for a swift death rather than face the punishment that awaited them. While mages studied and manipulated laws that governed the world, swearing to the laws of the world meant acknowledging the overarching authority that governed the entire realm. Just like in his previous life, the wealthy could manipulate government laws as long as they avoided being caught red-handed. However, swearing to the laws of the world was an entirely different matter. It was akin to constant surveillance by the government, a watchful eye monitoring every action that could violate the oath you made. Knowing this, Maximus felt reassured and presented a strand of mana and spirit. As for the crystal of origin, the possibility of it discovering that the mana and spiritual signatures he provided were fake was out of the question. The signatures he sent were condensed by the Mask of Grimoire, using top-grade magic crystals worth a staggering 1 billion gold points if converted. Of course, he didn't possess that kind of money, so he had to settle for dust particle-sized top-grade magic crystals, each worth 1 million gold points, which pained his heart. Just condensing the mana and spiritual signatures had cost him 2 dust particle-sized top-grade magic crystals. After sending out a strand of mana and spirit, the guard asked him some more questions. "What's your name, sir?" he asked, standing in front of a jade-like monitor ready to input his information. "Edward Williams," a Maximus made up. "Is it convenient to say the rank of your profession?" The guard assumed that he has a profession as he can't advance to Tier 5 Mystic Mage without one. "I'm a Tier 5 alchemist," Maximus said seriously. Although his plan to resell system products using multiple identities had been thwarted, Maximus was determined to continue with a revised strategy. However, now that he knew the importance of registering before entering the city, he couldn't be as unscrupulous as before. He knew that it would be suspicious if a large number of Tier 5 Mystic Mages suddenly appeared from the Curse Continent within a short period of time. Therefore, he had to exercise caution and impersonate himself as a Tier 3 or Tier 4 mage for the time being. This meant that the potential earnings from reselling system products would be reduced. After all, Tier 3 nascent mage wouldn't be able to sell a large quantity of resources above his strength. Therefore, he needed to be strategic and operate within the limitations of his disguise. Chapter 52: Selling Potions. In the registration room of Lothmire City, after enduring a series of inquiries from the guard, Maximus was finally presented with an identity token. "Here's your identity token, sir," the guard said, producing a freshly minted token. Examining the token, Maximus found nothing out of the ordinary. It merely recorded his soul and mana signature, along with basic information. This token is necessary for accessing any establishment within the Arcane Continent, but in the wilderness it's not required, the guard explained. Maximus understood that this token essentially served as an identification device. The guard escorted him out of the room, and at last, Maximus stepped foot inside the vibrant city of Lothmire. As he breathed in the mana-infused air, he sensed its potency, surpassing that of the sunburnt plateau he had previously inhabited. Taking in his surroundings, Maximus observed a diverse array of individuals traversing the city's streets and soaring through the skies on magical and advanced vehicles, reminiscent of his previous world, but more advanced and magical. He marveled at the fact that the city's inhabitants were, at the very least, official mages or knights. Even the earlier guard possessed the strength of a sky knight, leaving Maximus astounded. In the sunburnt plateau, such strength was exclusive to kings or the wealthy elite, and even then, it was a rarity. Yet here, individuals of such caliber roamed freely, blending in with the populace. It's indeed the most prosperous continent in the world. Letting out a sigh, Maximus shook his head and began exploring the city, intending to scout the area. His plan was to initially earn money by reselling system potions in small stores and affiliated businesses associated with the Ethereum Gold Chamber of Commerce. After all, the Ethereum Gold Chamber of Commerce served as an alliance of merchants. When it came to commerce, the chamber held a monopoly. Joining means you need to pay yearly taxes and shares. Of course, one could choose to operate independently, like many of the prominent families and alliances such as the Mage and Knight Alliance. Joining the Ethereum Gold Chamber Alliance was not mandatory, as they would have faced opposition from the world if they imposed such force. However, as the primary suppliers in the world, if you didn't join their alliance and have weak strength and resources, be prepared for bankruptcy. Although the chamber can't use force, they can use despicable but formal business war tactics, like cutting off your supply of materials or lowering prices. Therefore, unless one possessed sufficient strength, it was best to comply and pay the necessary taxes like an honest businessman. While walking around, Maximus came across a store named Elva's Potion Shop, which had a refreshingly down-to-earth name. As he entered, a steward greeted him with a slight bow. "Welcome to Elva's Potion Shop, sir," the steward said. "I'm here to sell potions. Do you accept them here?" Maximus inquired. He was somewhat embarrassed to sell potions to a shop that also sold potions. It's like coming to a mall to sell clothes at a cloth shop. But upon further thinking he realized that it wasn't unusual for shops to recycle products, especially smaller establishments. After all, their primary role was retailers, not manufacturers. Perhaps they had an alchemist skilled in potion making, allowing the shop to survive, but they still needed to purchase potions from other alchemists. "Of course, sir. We also offer a recycling service for potions, although at a discounted price," the steward replied. "I primarily want to sell mystic potions," Maximus stated. Mystic potions were for mystic mages while elemental potions were suitable for nascent mages and elemental mages. As for why there weren't nascent potions and below, it was because in Tier 1 to Tier 3, mages mainly needed to draw mana from the atmosphere, which was sufficient to advance to a nascent mage. The steward led Maximus to a private room and called for the person in charge of inspections. "I've heard this gentleman plans to sell mystic potions," an old man with the strength of an elemental mage approached them. "That's correct," Maximus nodded. "I'm Vane." "May I see your potions?" the old man, Vane, asked slowly. "Here you go," Maximus said, taking out a mystic potion. Vane carefully inspected the potion, his eyes widening in shock. "This? High-quality potion?" Though there were many alchemists capable of producing high-quality potions in the arcane continent, Lothmire City, being on the periphery, rarely received such potions. "How many are you planning to sell, sir?" Vane asked, his excitement evident. "About 100 mystic potions," Maximus replied. He only had around 10 million gold points, and each mystic potion cost 100,000 gold points. 100? Vane was easily taken aback, possibly due to his age, Maximus mused. After contemplating for a moment, Vane said, "To be honest, high-quality mystic potions cost 1,000 low magic crystals. However, since we still need to make a profit, we can offer you 850 low magic crystals per potion." Maximus inwardly cursed. At the Ethereum Gold Chamber of Commerce, they only recycled potions at 70% of the price, and that was with VIP 9 status. Here, a small shop was willing to buy them at more than 80% of the price. However, Maximus understood that the Ethereum Gold Chamber of Commerce was a large company and the main supplier for small shops like this one. Moreover, selling potions to small shops would be a hassle as their demand was limited. On the other hand, he could theoretically sell an unlimited amount of products to the EGCC, which could devour them like a gold-devouring beast. In this small shop, however, Maximus estimated he could sell a maximum of around 100,000 low magic crystals. So he still needed to deal with EGCC when selling system products in the future. "Alright, I accept," Maximus said, taking out 99 more mystic potions. Vane eagerly examined the high-quality potions, inspecting each one carefully. "They're all high-quality potions, sir," he declared. Vane handed over 85,000 low magic crystals to Maximus, who swiftly converted the amount to gold points, totaling 85 million, more than his initial income from selling elemental potions. "I also sell 50 Tier 5 soul-mending potions and 50 Tier 5 blood rejuvenation potions," Maximus added, presenting a sample of each potion. These potions were considerably more expensive as they were primarily used in emergencies. Each one cost 300,000 gold points in System Mall. Vane's excitement waned as he inspected the potions. "High-quality potions, too," he murmured silently. "The original price for these two potions is 4,000 low magic crystals for the soul-mending potion and 3,000 for the rejuvenation potion," Vane said with some difficulty. "Our recycling price is 85% of the original, so we can offer you 3,400 low magic crystals for the soul-mending potion and 2,550 low magic crystals for the rejuvenation potion." Considering the total amount of potions, it would cost close to 300,000 low magic crystals, which exceeded a year's revenue for their shop. "All right," Maximus replied, deciding not to push further, and handed over the potions. Vane numbly inspected each potion to ensure they were authentic. After all, it was a significant amount of money. "This is your payment, 297,500 low magic crystals," Vane said, passing Maximus a storage ring filled with magic crystals. A large transaction like this warranted the use of a storage ring, as smaller-sized rings were quite affordable, costing only a few low magic crystals. This reminded Maximus of his previous transaction with the EGCC, where they were stingy enough not to even provide a free storage ring. Maximus accepted the storage ring and checked if the amount was correct. Concluding the transaction, he was respectfully seen off by Vane. Although he had emptied their coffers, the profits from this transaction alone would earn them blood in the future. Furthermore, high-quality potions were easy to sell in this area. Once outside, Maximus sought out other shops to exploit. Although selling a large number of potions may attract attention, his disguised strength as a Tier 5 mystic mage deterred anyone from harming him. Glancing at the stores outside, he decided against entering the lower-tier establishments, as they likely couldn't afford to purchase much. After walking for a while, Maximus noticed a larger shop than Elva's potion shop earlier. The name of the shop, Brews and Charms, had a poetic ring to it. Upon entering, he was greeted by a steward who escorted him to a private room once he expressed his intention to sell alchemy potions. After a short while, the manager, Hilton, arrived. Maximus sensed that the manager possessed a strength of a Tier 5 mystic mage, just like his own disguised strength. "I'm Hilton. How may I assist you?" he spoke in a gentlemanly manner. "I'm here to sell potions," Maximus replied. Although the shop also dealt with alchemy items such as wands and robes, Maximus decided against selling those. Dealing with alchemy items was more troublesome compared to potions. Each item had varying prices, making it hard to sell. Just selling 100 alchemy items, for example. Evaluating and inspecting each item would consume a considerable amount of time and effort. Potions, on the other hand, were hassle-free. Their prices were fixed, and they could simply assess the quality. Moreover, potions were consumable, which meant customers would need to purchase more in the long run, generating a steady income. Chapter 53: Creating a Bank Account. In the private room of Brews and Charm Alchemy Store, Hilton, the store manager, asked, "May I see the potion you want to sell?" Maximus pulled out a sample of a mystic potion, a Tier 5 soul-mending potion, and a Tier 5 blood rejuvenation potion. Hilton calmly inspected the potion seriously. When he saw that it was a high-quality potion, he only raised a brow. After all, Brews and Charms was a big establishment, albeit not on the same level as the EGCC. They have several branches across the continent, so a high-quality potion was not that of a big deal to them. After inspecting, Hilton said calmly, "We recycle potions here at 80% of the price." While the offer was lower than that of the previous Elva potion shop, Maximus understood that being a big establishment, they received significant discounts when buying supplies from the EGCC. Therefore, the price of potions bought from a private individual would naturally be lower. "Alright, I want to sell 1,000 mystic potions, 400 Tier 5 soul-mending potions, and 400 Tier 5 blood rejuvenation potions," Maximus said calmly, hoping to see a shocked expression on Hilton's face. After all, these potions had cost him 340 million gold points, which was nearly all of his profits from his time at Elva's potion shop. Hilton was momentarily stunned and asked Maximus to repeat the numbers. "Can you repeat that again?" "I want to sell 1,000 mystic potions, 400 tier 5 soul-mending potions, and 400 tier 5 blood rejuvenation potions," Maximus repeated, a satisfied tone in his voice as he observed Hilton's shocked expression. Although Hilton was shocked, he was also excited. Purchasing potions from the EGCC usually yielded only them 10% profit, even with the VIP discount due to their shop's level. Taking a moment to calm down, Hilton requested to inspect the potions from Maximus. Maximus retrieved the crates of potions from his storage ring, which he had just exchanged in the system mall. Hilton spent half an hour meticulously examining each and every potion to ensure their quality, considering the substantial amount of money involved. "I have inspected all of the potions and they are all of high quality," Hilton declared slowly. "You must be an alchemist to possess such a large quantity of potions," Hilton inquired. "Yes, I am a tier 5 alchemist specializing in potions," Maximus introduced himself. "In that case, I would like to extend an invitation to recruit you to our workshop. I'm confident that the benefits we offer will definitely satisfy you. Moreover, if you join us, we will purchase your potions at 85% of the price," Hilton said confidently. After all, their faction was also a significant force, having a tier 7 transcendent mage as their leader. "No, I don't want to join any faction for now," Maximus replied without hesitation. "What a joke. If he wanted to join a faction, why not join the EGCC workshop directly? Although he might earn fewer magic crystals, at least his safety would be guaranteed, and there would be more resources available. Would you like to think about it some more, sir?" Hilton asked, not angry at Maximus' refusal. After all, their alchemy store already had tier 5 and even tier 6 potioneering alchemists. They were not lacking a tier 5 potioneering alchemist at the moment. What intrigued Hilton about Maximus was how all his potions were of consistently high quality, almost like factory-produced items. However, that was the extent of it. Other potioneering alchemists could achieve similar accuracy and quality if they focused solely on producing that type of potion. But few alchemists dared to do so because, although it could bring in a significant amount of money, it would hinder their future progress. Potioneering alchemists studied the combination of various plants and materials, and specializing in only a few potions could impede their advancement to higher ranks of alchemy. Spending too much time on one specific area could create a mental block or slight misconceptions when studying other aspects in the future. Therefore, most potioneering alchemists would study potions until they could produce high-quality ones and then move on unless they were geniuses who could master the potion-making process in a short amount of time. "No, I'm used to being free and don't want to be tied to any faction," Maximus clarified firmly. "That's unfortunate, sir." "Then let's settle our business without any further delay," Hilton replied, smiling like a gentleman. "The total amount for your potions comes to 3,040,000 low magic crystals. Do you have a bank account so I can transfer the money?" Hilton asked. "No, I just arrived here from the cursed continent. Can't we settle it in cash?" Maximus questioned, feeling puzzled. Although there was a bank on the boat, Maximus, engrossed in his studies of mechanics, had forgotten to create a bank account. Moreover, he was currently disguised as a different person, so even if he created a bank account it is useless. "No, all our transactions must be done through a bank account. This rule is set by the EGCC," Hilton explained apologetically. Hilton further elaborated on why bank transactions were mandatory. It turned out that the EGCC used bank transactions to track taxes and their share of profits received annually. For small shops, there was no need for bank transactions, as it was deemed cumbersome, especially considering that many businesses often went bankrupt, wasting precious resources. The resources in question here were manpower, which the EGCC utilized to monitor shops. If transactions were conducted in cash, shop owners could conveniently evade paying taxes. Therefore, the EGCC decided to rank their affiliates based on the size of their business, similar to a VIP level for customers. Those ranked from VIP 9 to VIP 7 did not require direct supervision but were obligated to pay a fixed amount of magic crystals annually based on their VIP level. However, for higher-ranking affiliates, supervision was necessary, and bank transactions made the process more streamlined and manageable. However, no establishment dared to complain, either they were powerless or didn't mind it much. Since they joined the EGCC, they were aware of the strict financial regulations. Nevertheless, many chose to join because it was easier to accumulate wealth with the backing of such an organization. While the EGCC collected their money, they also protected the shop owners' interests and provided unparalleled convenience. Ah, I see, Maximus nodded, now understanding the situation after Hilton's explanation. So, how do I go about registering a bank account? Maximus inquired. It's quite simple. You just need to visit a bank and provide them with your identity token, and they will handle the registration process for you, Hilton explained. But since you are already here at our establishment, we will take care of your registration process free of charge. Well then, thank you for your assistance, Maximus replied, a smile forming on his face as he handed his identity token to Hilton. He didn't have the slightest concern about them doing anything suspicious with his token. The token, if not deliberately tampered with, can record anything in its surroundings unless it's in a special container or storage space. And if he noticed that something was off, he could retrieve the recording history to find out what happened. Moreover, in terms of privacy, only he had the ability to access his own identity token unless someone with authority over the tokens was involved. But even then, individuals had the freedom to lock their identity tokens, preventing anyone from accessing their history. However, engaging in such behavior would likely result in prosecution, even without concrete evidence. Maximus had to admit that the security measures in the central continent were impressive, surpassing those of his previous world. After handing over his token, Hilton had some of the store staff process Maximus' bank registration. After a while, the staff returned the token to Maximus. Maximus inputted his mana into the token to check if there were any additions. The token displayed Edward Williams. Personal information. Location logs. Bank account. Options. The identification token was becoming increasingly advanced, resembling a smartphone without many apps. Previously, only personal information and location logs which tracked which city he had been were in the token, along with options for customization. But now, there was even a bank account section. Maximus sensed that there was more to this token than met the eye. After all, it was connected to the continental array, utilizing countless resources. It would be a waste if its functions were limited. Congratulations, sir. Your registration is complete, Hilton congratulated Maximus. Shall we proceed with the transaction? Hilton asked. Sure, Maximus replied, presenting his identification token. Hilton also took out a special token, likely the store token, and entered some numbers before tapping his token against Maximus. The token vibrated, displaying +3 040 000. Looking at the number, he was filled with excitement, as 3 million magic crystals were worth 3 billion gold points when converted in the system. You see, before he left the Sunburnt Plateau, he only had 10 million gold points, which he had earned from 4 months of income in the kingdom. So, it was no wonder he couldn't contain his excitement when his wealth had multiplied 300 times over. Chapter 54 Renting a Manor. After concluding his business with brews and charms, Maximus decided to call it a day and take a break to reassess his plans. With the intention of finding a manor to rent and settle in, he strolled towards a nearby establishment that matched the grandeur of brews and charms. The establishment bore the impressive name of Opulent Haven, evident from the virtual sign displayed at its storefront. Maximus was certain they offered rental services, so he stepped inside, hoping to rent a temporary manor. Hello, sir. Welcome to our store, greeted a steward lady with grace. I'm here to inquire about renting a manor. Do you have any available? Maximus interjected, his weariness of the day apparent, not so much physically but mentally. We have a wide variety for you to choose from. What is your budget, sir? The steward inquired. Please provide me with a list of the most luxurious manors in the city. Maximus waved his hand dismissively. Right away, sir, the steward replied, leading him to a comfortable lounge room. After a brief wait, the steward returned with a list in hand. Maximus perused the catalogue, finding that most of the manors were reasonably priced, at least for him at the moment. For instance, a manor suitable for a nascent mage was priced at a mere 1,000 low-grade magic crystals per year. The manors were categorized based on varying needs, aligned with one's magical strength. The higher the tier of the manor, the greater the concentration of mana required for meditation. Of course, there were also more affordable options, such as apartment-like houses where only a couple of low magic crystals were needed. After careful consideration, Maximus finally settled on a manor suitable for a Tier 5 mystic mage. However, it seemed that there are only a few options. Thinking about it, Lothmire City is quite remote when you compare it to the vast expanse of the arcane continent. So there are only a few manors for guests with higher strength. I want to rent this for a year, Maximus declared confidently. Although his initial plan had been to rent for only a few days or a month. But they were limited to cheaper options. And why should he settle for anything less? With 3 million to his name, he could afford to indulge himself a bit. The steward lady responded with a beautiful smile. That would be 100,000 low-grade magic crystals, she said, her satisfaction likely fueled by the substantial commission she would earn from renting out such an extravagant manor for a whole year. Maximus was taken aback by the price, but he didn't flinch. After all, 100,000 was merely pocket change for a millionaire like himself. Furthermore, when he considered the conversion rate to mid-grade magic crystals, the primary meditation resource for mages ranging from Tier 4 to Tier 6, the sum of 1 million low-grade crystals amounted to a mere 1,000 mid-grade crystals. The steward lady produced a clone of the store token, awaiting Maximus' payment. It was no surprise as such big establishments typically required bank transactions. Maximus retrieved his token and input 100,000 low-grade magic crystals before tapping it against the store token clone. Both tokens vibrated, signaling the successful completion of the payment. "Do you need a guide to the manor, sir?" the steward playfully suggested, hoping to seduce him. "No need," Maximus quickly declined. He discreetly scanned her with his system, noting her fit value was only 83. Besides, he was no longer eager to seek out concubines. Initially, he had pursued such relationships out of necessity, as he required immediate strength and resources. However, he had since amassed a significant amount of wealth, which can also translate it into power. He had consciously stopped actively searching for concubines. He left such matters to fate, as he found the burdens of being a husband and a father tiresome. If he wanted, he can just provide his family with the essentials of food and clothing and be done with it. However, he longed for love, and having to marry a woman just to become stronger will only make him indifferent in the long run. Thus, he altered his habit of seeking out women and marrying them without any genuine emotional connection. This was precisely why he hadn't immediately married Isabella, choosing instead to cultivate his feelings first. As for the potential point lost due to having fewer children, he considered it a negligible concern. After all, as a nascent mage, he possessed a lifespan of 1,000 years, affording him ample time to accumulate potential points throughout his children's lives. Furthermore, the system can still function when his children married and had their own children. Their wives, if they met the system requirements, generated gold, while their children contributed potential points. And this was without any deduction, even if they were second and third generation descendants. As for the necessary protection to achieve all of that, he can just buy it in the system. Exiting Opulent Haven, Maximus retrieved his token and examined its new features, which had been activated upon purchasing the house. Edward Williams. Personal information. Bank account. Properties. Options. The token now recorded all his online transactions and even generated a dedicated tab for them. While convenient, it also instilled a sense of unease, knowing that someone could have access to all his information. However, as the guard at the gate had mentioned earlier, the continent's higher authorities had sworn an oath not to misuse this data. Reflecting on the matter, Maximus realized that it was not much different from his previous world, where the government possessed all your information and even the public could learn bits and pieces through a simple search. Not dwelling further on these thoughts, Maximus set off toward his newly rented manor. After flying for a while, he spotted a grand estate resembling a wizard tower, but with an added touch of elegance. He attempted to fly directly toward it but was halted by a protective barrier. He couldn't help but appreciate the presence of such security measures. Maximus retrieved his token from his storage ring, which blocked its signal from being intercepted, and gained access to the manor. A soft hiss escaped his lips as he felt the unimaginable magnitude and purity of mana that pervaded the surroundings. And this was not even the meditation room. Compared to the room he had on the ship, which was only suitable for a nascent mage, the mana within this manor existed on an entirely different level. The manor also boasted a large tract of land that could be cultivated for farming. Given the concentration of mana, ordinary plants would likely grow into fully fledged magical plants within minutes. Feeling exhausted from the day's activities, Maximus decided to unwind in the manor's hot spring. Stripping off his clothes, he immersed himself in the hot water made with pure low-grade mana droplets. He let out a deep sigh, his thoughts wandering. Coming to the central continent had been an eye-opening experience. The world was filled with enchantment and advancement he hadn't anticipated. It felt like a magical rendition of an interstellar world. He couldn't help but reflect on his past life's misconception, where novels depicted mage settings as backward and barbaric. Contrary to those notions, this realm was highly advanced and civilized. Moreover, he realized that the basic knowledge of the Ethereum realm he had bought from the system only covered information that was widely known among the people. The more secretive and detailed knowledge was noticeably absent. Why can't the system sell any more advanced information about this world despite being almost omnipotent? It made him wonder if the system's virtual mall was connected to other worlds, similar to the multiverse mall cheats he had read about in his previous life. But why were there no sellers? The mall merely listed items available for purchase. Additionally, he pondered how the basic knowledge of the Ethereum realm had come to be present in the system. Shaking off these thoughts, Maximus refocused his attention on more pressing matters at hand. Before arriving in the central continent, Maximus planned to resell products from the system mall using multiple identities using the Tier 5 Mask of Grimoire until he upgraded it to Tier 9. However, upon learning about the requirement of a token to enter the central continent, he realized that executing his plan would almost be impossible. Upgrading the mask to Tier 9 required 18 million top-grade magic crystals. Where would he get that amount of money without enough vest to distribute the trading channel? Can he even keep the money? The maximum level of strength he could effectively disguise himself as was a Tier 5 Mystic Mage. This was because places outside of certain regions like the Beast Continent, Divine Continent, and Arcane Continent were unlikely to produce mages higher than Tier 5. As for disguising himself as someone from the Beast Continent, it posed a problem. While beasts from the Beast Continent could transform into humans, they possessed a distinctively aggressive mana. Unfortunately, the Tier 5 Mask of Grimoire could only imitate the pure mana of mages and couldn't even replicate the aura of a knight. As for disguising himself as someone from the Divine Continent, one might assume that since they possessed pure mana, it would be possible. However, just like the first problem, only the Tier 9 Mask of Grimoire, which is a law artifact, can imitate the faith needed to be disguised as from a Divine Continent. Faith is a special energy like mana that God needed. Most of the aborigines of the Divine Continent cannot go out in it. Only envoys especially brainwashed by God have the right to leave the Divine Continent to do business with other continents. Chapter 55 Joining EGCC. Early in the morning at one of the manors in Lothmire City, Maximus woke up from his peaceful sleep. It had been a while since he had a decent rest. During his journey here on the ship, he had been either engrossed in reading about the mechanic's profession or meditating. As he got up, he conjured a water spell and washed himself clean. Looking at the mesmerizing scene of the manor, he couldn't help but linger for a while. But he still had a lot to do, so he fixed himself. Quickly leaving his manor, he headed towards the Lothmire City branch of EGCC. Finding the branch was easy, as they were known for constructing the tallest and most luxurious buildings. There was a saying about EGCC that one could insult them for anything but money, as that's all they have. After a while, he stops at the tallest building with the plaque that says, Ethereum Gold Chamber of Commerce. Coming in, he was greeted by a steward. "Welcome, sir," the steward said. The process was similar to other stores but more formal. He was directed to the lounge as he mentioned that he was selling alchemy potions. "Good morning, sir." "I'm Logan, the manager of this branch," Logan said with a slight bow. "Good morning," Maximus greeted back. Maximus, feeling Logan's strength as a Tier 5 Mystic Mage. Throughout his time here, he hadn't encountered a single Tier 6 Archmage. "What would you like to sell, sir?" Logan asked as he took his seat. "I would like to sell high-quality mystic potions," Maximus said without changing his expression. "Oh? May I see the mystic potion?" Logan requested, devoid of emotion. Here, Maximus handed him a sample. After inspecting the potion for a while, Logan said, "It is indeed a high-quality potion." "How many are you going to sell?" "Just about 30,000 of them," Maximus calmly replied. The gold points he needed to buy the mystic potion was automatically withdrawn by the system from his personal token. Logan widened his eyes, not fully believing what he had heard. Maximus didn't wait for Logan to speak, as he took out nearly 30,000 mystic potions. Upon seeing the potions, Logan was speechless. Although he had been exposed to wealth since childhood, this was the first time he had witnessed someone selling high-quality potions as if they were bottled water. Logan quickly inspected each one of them, not daring to believe it was true. After a couple of minutes, his eyes gleamed as if he had seen a god of wealth. At the same time, he couldn't help but envy the alchemists and mechanics, as even the tips of their fingers were filled with money. He had wanted to be like them, but unfortunately, he had no talent for it. He had studied for 100 years, but all he had achieved was producing half-baked products. The sad reality nearly brought him to tears. All he had was money that he didn't even possess the talent to earn money that he had. With a sigh, he lamented his situation. Maximus was stunned by Logan's varied expressions, sometimes shock, envy, and sometimes reminiscent. After Logan finished inspecting the potion, Maximus asked, "How is it, Mr. Logan?" Logan snapped back to reality. "Oh, it's truly remarkable to have this many high-quality potions. Did you perhaps create them?" Logan inquired. "Yes, I'm a Tier 5 potioneering alchemist myself," Maximus lied without changing his expression. "That is remarkable," Logan praised, noticing that Maximus was only a few hundred years old, a mere youth based on his lifespan of 10,000 years. Despite being a talent, Logan didn't invite Maximus to become their exclusive alchemist. The reason was first, Logan lacked the authority to make such an offer, and second, if Maximus wanted to join EGCC, he could do so by applying and passing a series of tests. "It's fine," Maximus humbly replied. "Sir, you have a total of 29,400 high-quality mystic potions, am I right?" Logan confirmed. "Yes," Maximus simply nodded. "Since the total value of the transaction exceeds 10 million, you will obtain VIP 6. So, in total, we will purchase your potions at 80% of the original price, which amounts to 23,520,000, Logan quickly performed the arithmetic. "Is that acceptable to you, sir?" "I am satisfied," Maximus smiled. The VIP token was his main goal today, the money was secondary. He was even at the risk of trouble by conspicuously selling a large amount of high-quality potions without a clear source of origin. After last night's thinking and seeing that Central Continent operates in a fast information phase, where everything you do has a trace, all of his plans were scrapped. Even if he disguises himself, without any source of materials, someday or someone will begin to doubt how the resources he sold come about without the necessary material to do so. It was akin to a gold miner selling gold from an unknown source. It was fine if he just sold a few grams or kilos, as it was within his profession. Maybe he snuck in a few during his work. Meanwhile, selling tens of kilos of gold like what he did by selling tens of thousands of high-quality potion was definitely eye-catching but not too dangerous. They would assume the gold miner was clever enough to find a few kilos of gold. But when he started to attempt and sell tons of gold, that's when the real fun began. The big guys would disregard any rules. Instead, they would try to extort him until they got a hold of the source of gold he was selling. That was precisely what he was trying to avoid. If he were just to sell a few potions as an alchemist, it would be reasonable, but if he went over the top and sold a bunch of them, problems would ensue. Moreover, he was not for little money, he needed a vast amount of them. Therefore, after a night of planning, he came up with a solution: to become a gold mine owner. By that, he meant owning a store where he could sell his products, much like a mine owner selling the minerals from their mine. And the first step towards that was acquiring VIP 6, akin to a pass to formally mine. Logan took out the store token and typed in the total amount of the transaction, tapping his token to confirm the transaction. Plus 23,520,000. Seeing the money, Maximus felt somewhat numb. He recalled his past suffering when he first transmigrated into this world. His possessions were not even worth a single low-grade magic crystal. He had nearly cried back then. Fortunately, the system can generate gold when he had a wife, which somewhat relieved his pressure. Holding back his sorrow, he looked at Logan as he took out a jade-like token with the EGCC VIP 6 mark on it. "Here is your token, sir," Logan happily gave it to Maximus. When Maximus received the token, his personal token vibrated. "Do you want to bind the EGCC VIP token?" "Yes/no." Looking at it, he didn't realize his token still had such a function. Clicking a yes, the VIP token vibrated and vanished, merging magically into his personal token. Edward Williams. Personal information. Bank account. Properties. Privileges. Options. There was another function. His personal token was really like a new smartphone waiting for him to download apps. After scrutinizing the new functions of his personal token, he looked at Logan, who was waiting for him, wondering if he still needed anything. "Mr. Logan, I need your assistance," Maximus said. "Gladly, you can tell me anything you need, sir," Logan excitedly said, assuming it was another transaction. "I'm planning to set up my own store." Can EGCC help me with that? Maximus asked. Of course, sir. Are you familiar with the entire process? Logan inquired. Not really. Can you brief me on it? Maximus asked, uncertain about the process. Allow me to explain. As a VIP of EGCC, we are obliged to help you with anything as long as there is enough money involved, Logan started. Regarding the store setup and registration, we can handle it all for you. You just need to tell us the location and the design scheme you desire for your store. Logan waited for Maximus to process the information before continuing. As for the supply of materials, if you need them, being a VIP 6 gives you a 10% discount when purchasing from us. And if you decide to join our alliance, you can enjoy an additional 5% discount, Logan explained. Do you have any questions? He asked. What are the responsibilities of alliance members upon joining? Maximus asked. There isn't much. First, as a mid-tier VIP member, you only need to pay 3% of your store's profits. Additionally, EGCC has priority over your own products. But don't worry, if EGCC needs it, they can purchase it at a premium, Logan said with a smile. Maximus thought for a while. It really wasn't much, and even the tax was minimal. More importantly, by joining EGCC, he would have their protection. In that case, I would like to join EGCC.